and welcome back to some more Sims for Create a Sim D&D edition, where I take my D&D creations and try to make Sims of them. I do have all of the characters drawn out, and somewhere here in the beginning of the video I post the drawing up on the videos for a bit so that you could see what the character looks like when I drew them and see what I'm using as like the guide to creating the sim. But I don't keep it up during the whole video because it's a picture of the character in my sketchpad, so it takes up quite a bit of space, so I don't want to leave it on the whole time. But yeah, today we are seeing the creation of Ivar Shalstar, one of the fewer males that I have. I have more females than males. Probably partially because I am a female, like I gravitate towards creating them more. I don't know. But I will say, not in reference to this series, but because I picked a certain point of where to stop the creations of these characters, but I have way more D&D creations than will be in this series. And recently I have created a few more guys, so I feel like the ratio is a little bit closer to even. Still not even, but a little bit closer. For now, anyway. But yeah, so today we are seeing Ivar and getting to meet him. So he is a race of, it is a type of elf, but it's a race that was in a previous D&D, and I think it's still in, cause some of the races are in both D&D and Pathfinder, if I remember correctly. I don't remember if this one was in, one of the elf races that I came across was in both of them, and one still is in the other, but not in one. But a lot of people still use a lot of these, and I'm going to mispronounce this so bad. But it's Shadakai or something along those lines is the race, but it's a type of elf, and they mostly follow the Raven Queen. They're like the Raven Queen's elves sort of situation. They do have some similarities to Dark Elves, but they are not Dark Elves or, Drow, is what their one of their formal names is called. So, yeah, not the same. Might have a few, like the grayish pale skin to some degree, and I think I've seen some Shadakar that even have the Shadakai. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, I think I've seen some of them have like some of the darker gray skins too, at least people's drawings of them. Obviously, when it comes to people's interpretation of them, some of them are going to be slightly different, and a lot of people like to be really creative with their characters, so you know, there's going to be some leeway and stuff like that with those things. But yeah, a lot of people I think still use this race, as long as you're not like a rule stickler for things. So yeah, but I'm on a personal mission to just make at least one character from each race of elf that I can find. Just to sort of annoy my boyfriend, because he finds elves boring because they are so similar to humans in some ways, but elves are so much superior and so much better. Personally, that's my opinion. I like elves a lot. But, you know, he likes, like, grung and orcs and loxodons and lizard folk and those types. That's what he likes. The more beast-like character races. So, but I like my elves a lot. So, I am now purposely gonna make at least one elf for each race that I can find. So every once in a while, if I find a new race of elf, no matter what it comes from, I will make a version for D&D. So that is just how it's happening. But anyway, back to Ivar here. Ivar is a warlock fighter. His subclasses are going to be Hexblade and Echo Knight, and he's going to be about even on both of those. And with Ivar's story, he did go and travel away from home. When he was younger, it was more of like, he did want to travel, but he also sort of wanted to rebel a little bit. So he left at a pretty young age, and even for an elf, because elves live quite a while, unless you're in half-elf. But to me, half-elves I think are supposed to have like a normal human lifespan, but me personally, I would give them somewhere in between, because they still have some of that elfish in them. So like, yeah, they don't live as long as most elves, but they live longer than most humans, is how I would do that. Anyway, this is not about Ivar, but yeah, he left and he went traveling, and he's been gone for so long that it's sort of a situation of like he doesn't fully remember how to get back home because he's went so many different directions and he wasn't really keeping note on a map or anything. Like he was just going wherever his heart and desires took him. And eventually he actually like ran into someone. He fell in love with this person, but she was in a situation where like it wasn't looked kindly on to be with his type of race, because they were seen as not so good people. She is another type of elf, but I'm not going to get into her too much later because she is technically one of the characters that I bumped up to put her in the series specifically because Ivar is in the series. So, but she was sort of torn. Like they did get very close. They did fall in love with each other. I think in some ways like he was more in love with her than she was with him at first because there still was that mindset in her mind that she wasn't sure if this was a good idea, and she knew that those around her would not agree with this situation. And eventually she listened to them, and Ivor caught her trying to date someone else, basically. And that broke him to the core, and he left. Like, just was like, no. And left. So now he's sort of got this attitude of not caring too much, and just like, he wants to get back home. He doesn't know how to get back home, but he's gonna try, and he's sort of in a done mindset. He does run into someone else who he becomes close friends with, which has already been seen, which is Arietta, which I remotely talked about Arietta. But Ivor still partially has feelings for this one person that broke his heart, but he can't help it. Like, he still has those feelings, but at the same time, he's very, like, I'm done with you sort of situation. But, yeah. So right now, Arietta is just sort of enjoying, like, joining him on his journey to find a way back home, because she's just trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. So she's just like, eh! And she finds him good company, and she enjoys his friendship, and like I mentioned with her, she's not going to try to ruin their friendship, even though she has like a slight crush on him, but at the same time she values their friendship more and knows that he definitely does not feel that way, so she's just like, we just be friends. We just cool. And she's the type of person that I could totally see her, like, you know, at least when it comes to, like, her real close friend, she's understanding of things. Like, even if she feels this way, she's not gonna encroach where she knows that she shouldn't encroach. And if he was to ever get with someone else, she would be totally supportive. So, that's one of her good qualities. But, like Arietta, Ivor does sort of have a few negative qualities. Some of them just because he inherently was that way. Some he sort of has gotten over the years, and this whole heartbreak thing hasn't really helped him in those situations. But, so, for Sims, I am giving him, and I think I kept it, because I originally was going to change a few of the things. But yeah, no, I definitely kept it. Which, his aspiration is going to be the public enemy aspiration. He's just sort of done with trusting people at this point. The traits he's gonna have is the loner trait, which technically isn't a negative trait. That is not a negative trait. You're perfectly fine to be a loner. A lot of loners have, like, the one or two close friends, and that's it. But a lot of times loners they like having their alone time. They don't necessarily mind being around people. They feel stressed around people, especially if they don't know those people. But so it's not a negative trait, it's just his personality. He's traveled alone most of his life, and he's been alone most of his life. That's just what he's used to. He gets a few close people here and there, and that's it. But he does also have the mean trait. And he's a little bit erratic. The whole, you know, being broken thing has not worked in his favor. He's also slightly kleptomaniac. He's also got kleptomaniac, but that's because I imagine he is just the type of person who's been living off the land or living off of whatever he can do. So yeah, he might steal a few things here to either one, have food, or to sell it and make money to get food and get things he needs. But because he is the type of person that I imagine has lived off the land, has like really like gotten used to reusing things. He does have the trait of recycle, decycle. Or at least he's going to. If you've watched a few of these by now, you know that I am adding a mod in to do the 5 traits, so that's why I did mention 5 traits. So if this is like the first one you've watched and you was a little confused, that's why I'm planning on having 5 traits for them, because I plan on doing a mini-series after the fact. And I want there to be as much personality in these Sims as I can get. Now, obviously, we all know in some ways when it comes to likes and dislikes and traits and so on and so forth, that they could use a little tweaking to really influences the Sims' behavior a little bit more. Like, they subtly influence the Sims' behavior, but not as much as you wish they would. There are some traits that are a little bit better at influencing a Sim's personality. I feel like erratic actually is one of them that does a better job at influencing a Sim, but, you know, it's still, they influence it enough that I'm hoping with 5 traits that gives them a whole lot, and mixing it with their likes and dislikes, and then mixing it with the mods that I have and will have, I am hoping that there's some interesting chaos that happens and ensues, because we're treating this mostly like a reality show. I will have minimum control over the Sims, more of just, I am the camera recording the drama happening, or hopefully the drama happening. And I admit Ivar is one of them that I hope drama happens with, because he does have a best friend who has a small crush on him, and I am purposely making the girl that broke his heart be in this house. I'm sorry, Ivar. I'm sorry I'm doing this to you. But I'm intrigued to see what happens. Intrigued, definitely. And not to mention, some of the mods that I will have are like the chemistry mod and wonderful whims, which will determine whether or not people just have a natural chemistry of getting along together, and also their attractiveness, like who they find attractive and stuff. So the random characters might find other random characters extremely attractive, and who knows what's gonna happen, because when they find someone like extremely attractive, they become instantly flirty, and they have like a higher chance of flirting with those said people, I'm pretty sure. So there might be some interesting things happen with all that stuff going, and I'm hoping for it. I really am. So I have a lot of hope for this mini-series, and it is gonna be a mini-series unless y'all want to see a longer time span of it, but for now it is planned as a mini-series, but I'm so looking forward to it. But I hope you like how Ivar turned out. I am really happy with how he turned out. There are a few things that I wish I could have done slightly differently, but because of the little shirt piece that has like the arm thing that just covers his shoulder and the one arm, I really wanted to put that on him, but because it technically is classified as a shirt, I had limited undershirt options to give him. But overall, I was really, really happy with him. The hair, perfect. But so I hope you like how he turned out. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on Ivar, how he turned out looking, his story. Are you looking forward to the potential drama that could be connected to Ivar? You definitely should be seeing his screenshots now, so that you can see the little still images of him. I like to put the screenshots at the end, because watching them do in the video is like fun and stuff, but the screenshots give you like little still images that you can see them somewhat better. But there also should be some group shots of him and Arietta, because they do travel together. They are best friends, so should be seeing those as well. And I do think these two look cool together, but, you know, I don't plan them on ever being a thing, but who knows, Sims might decide otherwise. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, definitely hit that lovely like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, you know that lovely YouTube goodiness. Feel free to check out the playlist down below. There's the build playlist and the Create a Sim playlist. So if you've missed any characters, or you want to go check the build out because you haven't got a chance to yet, you can click those playlists down below. And hopefully I'll be seeing you in the next one. But until then, bye bye!